Hey guys, welcome back to Matthew chapter 20. I'm excited to jump into it. The past few videos I felt like, I was sharing a lot from my heart, but I also want to really go into the scriptures. So hopefully I'll do that more in this video, but I'm still learning. I'm super new to this and all of making videos and stuff like that. Like sometimes it's even still very awkward to speak into a camera. Not awkward, but I'm just not used to it. So like I'll be looking at my computer speaking, even though there's nothing on my computer. There's like no notes, but I'm just looking at my computer because it's weird just staring at a camera and speaking. I'm speaking a little softer because my friend is sleeping in the room next door still, so excuse me. But let's jump into it. Matthew chapter 20. Okay, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. When he had agreed with the laborers for a denarius for the day, he sent them into his vineyard, and he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. And to those he said, "You go into the vineyard also, and whatever is right I will give you." And so they went. Again he went out about the 6th and the 9th hour and did the same thing. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing around. And he said to them, "Why have you been standing here idle all day long?" They said to him, "Because no one hired us." He said to them, "You go into the vineyard too." Now when evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Call the laborers and pay them their wages, starting with the last group to the first." When those hired about the 11th hour came, each one received a denarius. And so when those hired first came, they thought that they would receive more, but each of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they grumbled at the landowner, saying, "These who were hired last worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day's work and the scorching heat." But he answered and said to one of them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go. But I want to give to this last person the same as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I want with what is my own? Or is your eye envious because I am generous? So the last shall be first and the first last." As Jesus was about to go up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves. And on the road he said to them, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and scribes, and they will condemn him to death. And they will hand him over to the Gentiles to mock and flog and crucify. And on the third day he will be raised up." Then the mother of the sons of Zebedee came to Jesus with her sons, bowing down and making a request to him. And he said to her, "What do you desire?" She said to him, "Say that in your kingdom these 2 sons of mine shall sit, one at your right and one at your left." But Jesus replied, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "My cup you shall drink, but to sit at my right hand and at my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared by my Father." And after hearing this, the other 10 disciples became indignant with the 2 brothers. But Jesus called them to himself and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles domineer over them, and those in high position exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wants to become prominent among you shall be your servant, and whoever desires to be first among you shall be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." As they were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him, and 2 people who were blind, sitting by the road, hearing that Jesus was passing by, cried out, "Lord, have mercy on us, Son of David." But the crowd sternly warned them to be quiet. Yet they cried out all the more, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." And Jesus stopped and called them and said, "What do you want me to do for you?" They said to him, "Lord, we want our eyes to be opened." Moved with compassion, Jesus touched their eyes, and immediately they regained their sight and followed him. All right. Matthew chapter 20. So, yeah, that was so weird when I was like, all right, sorry, so cringe, forgive me. First thing that I wanted to speak about was the parable of the laborers in the vineyard. And I mean, you could probably get a lot of stuff out of this parable, right? So hopefully some people will watch the video and they will comment what they took out of this parable, because it might be really different from what I took out of it. But what I took out of it is I just wrote here the difference between a worker and a lover, and us being a people who walk in relationship with our God. We're not just working for him, right? We're not just hirelings, right? Jesus said that, he spoke about a hireling and a shepherd, right? But we don't want to be just hirelings. We want to be walking in relationship with the Lord, loving him and delighting in him being our ultimate reward, right? God being our ultimate reward and our treasure, not what we can gain from following him, but the fact that we can gain him. And I'm not saying these things as if I have it all figured out, right? Like, definitely not. Like, I'm still figuring it out. Because the truth is, like, sometimes it is hard when I'm doing stuff. Like, it's hard to not think, oh man, hopefully, like, I'll get really rewarded for this, you know, or stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I don't think about it. I don't want to lie. Like, I don't want to play myself down just for the sake of what I'm saying. I don't really think about that. I can't remember right now when the last time was that I thought like that, because I feel like God has really been walking with me in a way of really loving on him and delighting in him, and I really think that I do see him as being my reward. But when I read this parable, it seems like these people, for them it was more important what they were going to gain by following Jesus, that was more important to them than Jesus, right? Like, it was more important for them to earn wages than to walk in a relationship and be content with their love relationship with God. And I guess that's what I take from this piece of scripture. And again, like, definitely not saying I'm perfect, right? Like, I probably there's areas in my heart where I'm still just doing stuff because of what I believe the reward would be if I do that. But I also don't want to act as if I think about it the wrong all the time just because I want to relate to the parable. Like, I really feel like God has done something in my heart that has placed a huge value on my relationship with him and on his presence in my life, and the fact that I don't want to do the things and get the promises if God is not with me. Like I don't want to do awesome stuff, but his presence is not with me. For me, like, the most amazing thing is when I can wake up in the morning and spend time with the Lord, and his presence is with me. He is with me, and he is there in the room, you know. And I think doing ministry without that being the main thing, our walk with him, our communion in him and with him, man, without that, being a Christian, I don't think it'll be fun. I think it'll be really bad, and it won't be fruitful, because if we don't abide in Christ, then we cannot bear any fruit, right? So anyway, sorry, that's like a whole tangent, but I think that these guys were hirelings, and I think something we can learn from this is that we really want to value our relationship with the Lord more than our rewards, and it's like more than the rewards that we're gonna get for what we're doing for him. It would be better, I think, if I was in that vineyard laboring, for me to delight in the fact that I could be laboring with the Lord in his vineyard, right? Because I'm not doing it on my own, I'm doing it with him. I'm laboring in his vineyard with him. And if I'm so content and delighting in my relationship with him while we're laboring in the vineyard, I'm not going to be all that concerned about what wages I'm going to get at the end of the day. And if I know his character, I know he won't let me down. I know he'll take care of me, right? Because he's not unjust. He's very just. But if it's all about the wages, it's not going to satisfy my heart. But if it's about him, it'll satisfy my heart, right? So yeah, so I think that's something that I that stood out for me. So good coffee. Second thing was where the sons of Zebedee's mom comes and they want her to. Oh man, I just spit on my computer, man. That's nasty. Sorry. Second thing is where the mother of the sons of Zebedee comes, and she asked that her sons would sit at the right and the left hand of Jesus when he is in his kingdom. And I read this once. It was so good, right? Because the guy was saying that Jesus was enthroned on the cross, right? Think about that. He was enthroned on the cross. He was crowned with a crown of thorns on a cross. He was enthroned on a cross. The guys on his left and his right was crucified with him. The difference between what the sons of Zebedee might have been expecting, or their mother might have been expecting, to what it means to be enthroned with Jesus, was way different than reality. Because in reality, being enthroned with Jesus might mean that you're gonna get crucified, right? That might be you sitting on his left and on his right hand. But the way of the world, the way that we think apart from Jesus, is that enthronement means that we get dominion and authority over people, that we get to we get to rule over them. That's the way our heads work. That's the way my head works, at least, right? I like a lot of times I don't think I see leadership the way Jesus does a lot of times, right? I want to, but I definitely don't do it perfectly, and I want to grow in it. But for being disciples of Jesus, it's just such a different standard to what leadership is than what the world would say. And then Jesus speaks about that in the next part, and he speaks about how rulers of the Gentiles domineer over them, and those in high positions exercise authority over them. It is not this way among you, but whoever wants to become prominent among you shall be your servant, right? So, and again, so much could be said about this. So much could be said about this, but it's like, I feel like it's a journey that we discover throughout our life. Is what does it mean to be servant-hearted leaders? What does it mean to be servant-hearted in when we have positions of authority? Like, it's hard, man. Like we want to use our positions to make people do stuff. It's just like, it's hard to not see leadership that way, but we have to, because that is the right way. The way of Jesus is the right way of leadership. The way of Jesus is the kingdom way of leadership. It's not sitting on a throne dictating to people what they need to do, and they just need to listen to you because of your position. No, it's actually coming down from that throne and being willing to die on a cross for the people who you are leading. Like, oh, that is what it means to be a leader in the kingdom. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, not gonna say anything more about that. Third thing is just, again, how these two guys at the end of the chapter cry out to Jesus to have mercy on them, right, and to heal them. And the crowd was like sternly warned them, like, be quiet, like they were probably being so like loud or obnoxious or irritating, inconvenient. Again, right, I've said this in a few videos, but like, these people are an inconvenience. But Jesus, moved with compassion, he touches their eyes and he gives them their sight back. They regain their sight. And like, it's that moment where you're on your way to go get a coffee, and when you're in a rush and you don't want to stop for anything, you're like, maybe you're like, you just really need you need to be by yourself right now. There's a guy who asks you for a piece of bread or something, money or something like that. And Jesus is the type of person who would stop what he's doing and engage with that person and be relational redeem that person, heal that person, bless that person. That's the type of person Jesus is. That's the type of people we ought to be as his people. Yeah. All right, guys. That's all that I have to say about Matthew 20. Man, I really want to finish Matthew. That'll be so cool if I have a whole playlist when I'm like 40 years old and I can show my kids that here's like me going through the whole book of Matthew. Wouldn't that be so cool? Okay, anyway, see you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace.